Here's the context of 1st and 2nd Peter. He says, the world is on fire. That's what he says in 1 Peter chapter 1. He says, do not be surprised when you face the fiery trials. The world is on fire. And that prophecy actually came true because Nero literally set Rome on fire, turned around and blamed it on the Christians. Nero, the emperor of Rome, was probably the most wicked, godless, ruthless tyrant in all of modern history. He would actually arrest Christians, have them dipped in pitch and tar, set them on fire, so that way he could actually have a little mood lighting for his dinner parties at night. He murdered Christians, would throw them in coliseums, draw and quarter them, have them women and children fed to lions, little boys fighting gladiators, all for sports. And even in the midst of all this, the largest superpower ever, Rome, was imploding. It was self-destructing. Because of his leadership, you had political infighting. People were rioting in the streets and protesting. You had division happening within the government. But also socially, you saw that there was sexual confusion where homosexuality and transgenderism and the grooming of children through pedophilia was actually commonplace. People would go to temples where they would worship false gods and they would sacrifice their children on altars to these false gods. They would have sex openly in the street or in the temple, in the marketplace, as a form of act of worship towards these gods as well. And I say that and somebody are like, ooh, that's nasty. I'm so glad we don't do that. But do we? Do we though? Do we though? No, Rome was the prototype for America. Welcome to the United States of Rome. Here in the church, the same way, just as the early church was losing their freedoms, the church in America is even beginning to lose their freedoms as well. You have pastors in Europe who are actually being arrested for preaching the gospel in public. You have other pastors in Canada who are actually having their churches closed because they're not gender affirming. We even see pastors here preaching sermons a little bit more intense than mine, losing their 501c3 nonprofit status. I mean, it was only just a few years ago. I don't know if y'all remember this thing called COVID. Like, do you remember that? When it first happened, people are like, you can't go to church. Close down all the churches. Meanwhile, you can still go to strip clubs. Right. It's as if like church is just too dirty. Let's go to strip clubs instead. Right? And then everybody's like, if you have church, you're a grandma killer. You're a granny killer. It's your fault. Stop the spread. Stop the Christians. Anybody remember that, or have we forgotten? They never apologized for it, by the way. They just hope that we forgot about it. I'll let you know, I have not forgot about it, though. Right? This is the world that we live in. Freedoms are through government overreach. There's riots in the streets. Okay, instead of temples, we have abortion clinics. We just call it choice. We have parades for things that we should be having funerals for. We have people grooming little children for sexualizing them, and parents who do it for public affirmation and hashtags on Twitter. And what Peter is doing, he's riding his church in the midst of all this chaos and confusion, and he says, the world and all of its problems, the world has problems, but the church has the solution. What's the solution to all the world's problems? His name is Jesus, right? Jesus is the solution to the world's problems. What Peter is saying is the problems out there should not be problems in here. Like, we should not be surprised when the world acts like the world, but we should be shocked when the church begins to act like the world. See, the problems out there should not be the problems in here. That we are called to be different, set apart, holy. We are called to be unique and different and other. We are not to be like the world, but we are to be in the world, but we are not of this world. And so Peter's reminding his church to stand firm in the truth, or we fall for the lies.